Rashid, thanks for hopping in. And if you want to do a quick intro, go ahead.
Well, thank you for having me again. My name is Rashid McDonald. I am the host of the MetsLife podcast, the MetsLife Show, and I'm also a reporter for the Mets for Quisqueya International.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of good moments this year with the Mets. It's definitely been a very good year for them and the Yankees too. This is like I was telling a buddy of mine the other day. I think this is the most highly anticipated Subway Series since they actually met in the World Series in 2000, probably. I think what's going to happen with Juan Soto walking into the Yankee Stadium doors tomorrow, it's going to be like something we've never seen before. So, like, what do you expect to see out there tomorrow? I guess we'll start with that, then we'll like go deeper into the series and like some other stuff.
Well, I think it's going to be a bloodbath. That's the best way to put it. I
Yeah.
mean, in in
Yeah.
every sense of the word, when you talk about the Mets and you talk about the Yankees, especially the way they look this season, this is you're right. This is setting up to be the most highly anticipated Subway Series matchup since the 2000s, and that's saying something, right? And it all begins with Juan Soto, right? $765 million contract that he signed with the New York Mets, kind of leaving the Yankees at the altar after just one
Yeah.
season and helping taking them to the World Series. So I do expect the Yankee fans to be raucous and rowdy, but it's New York City, so you can't expect nothing less.
Exactly. And like we said, both teams are in first place. Soto had a great year with the Yankees. It was phenomenal. Got them to the World Series. It wasn't really his fault that they didn't come up where they needed to in the end of that. But he had a big home run against the Guardians. Everyone's going to remember. He's said a lot of good stuff. The perception is definitely going to be what you were saying. And I want to dismiss something. I know we talked about this too. Everyone stop saying the Yankees have Trent Grisham because I don't care what Grisham's doing right now. It's ridiculous. Don't even compare the two players. It's not right to either player. Grisham's having a good season. Yeah, he's better right now, but like realistically speaking, anyone with common sense knows that's not going to hold up. Grisham was a throw-in in the deal too. That's why it's so ironic. Like the Padres just wanted a dumb salary, and now he's like helping the Yankees lead the charge this year. I know you wanted to touch on Grisham too.
Yeah, well, what Trent Grisham is doing is absolutely phenomenal. I give him all the credit in the world because, to be honest, he was one of those guys that was going to be on the outside looking in once Giancarlo Stanton came back,
Yep,
right? He was a fourth outfielder because they signed Cody Bellinger to kind of soften the blow of losing Juan Soto,
they
and
tried.
they went out there to and they put their rookie out there, Jason Dominguez in left field, and so Trent Grisham really was like, okay, let's see what you could give us time in and time out. And what he's done is spectacular. I mean, words can't even describe the type of start to the season that Trent Grisham is having. But it's all credit to him, man. I mean, when they count people out, it's usually those that you least expect
Huh.
to come in and make that impact. Sort of like last year with Mark Vientos with the Mets, right?
Good
He
point.
was somebody that was on the outside, got tossed aside for JD Martinez to
Right.
come in and DH. And when Mark Vientos came up in May last year, he absolutely lit the world on fire. So there's something to be said about those guys who, you count them out and they come back in when you least expect it.
I agree with you 100%. And you look with Trent, he's hitting 12 home runs, his career high is 17. His OPS is almost 1,000. That's way higher than anything he's ever done before. Hitting 283, way higher than anything he's ever done before. Like everything is like so much better than what he's ever done before. Even and we know he's not going to maintain it, obviously. But even if he levels off and even plays average baseball, like the season he's putting together is going to be 10 times better than anything we've ever seen from him before, which is a credit to him, like you said. I'm not trying to discredit him, but I don't want to see comparisons to Trent Grisham and Juan Soto. To me, that's like disingenuous to both players.
Yeah, that's a little outrageous when fans go in there, and it's usually coming from the Yankee side, and that's
Well, yeah.
understandably so.
That's why I was saying. Yeah, I
No,
know.
but look, at the end of the day, nobody likes to get dumped. That's the last thing anybody wants to do is feel like someone doesn't care about them. And the Yankees, specifically Yankee fans, have never felt that before. right? I mean,
Yeah,
they've
it's a good
taken
point.
Johnny Damon away from the Red Sox. They've gotten Jason Giambi from the Athletics
Yep.
and back in the days, and
Mhm.
those were difference makers. CC Sabathia, they got him right in free agency. Mark Teixeira, like those guys. So they were always the beneficiary of other players coming to their team and leaving their
Yeah.
teams in the dust. So for Yankee fans, this is brand new. So the only way they feel that they can kind of understand what's going on for them is to look at the guy who was basically a throw in the Juan Soto trade for the Yankees, who is right now putting up better power. I don't. All right, so the OPS is higher, home runs are higher. Like he's doing a fantastic job. Like you like all due respect to Trent Grisham, Juan Soto is probably the best hitter in baseball when he's firing on all cylinders. And
Well,
I
I don't
just
know. What about Aaron Judge? I might have to debate Aaron
right,
Judge.
right. And that
In
was and that
fairness.
was and that was the question coming into this season. And I'll stand on it, right? I was one of the people who came in and I said, for me, when it comes to baseball and you look at the three people at the top of the game, it was Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, and Juan Soto for
Fair,
me,
fair.
right? And I put them in three categories. Specifically, Aaron Judge, the best player in baseball, no doubt, right? Shohei Ohtani is the best talent because the way he can pitch and the way he can hit, nobody could do it like him, right? And the way he does it. And I
Right.
felt like Juan Soto, when at his best, and we've seen it last year, is probably because the way he can dictate an at bat, manipulate an at bat when he is on it. And he hasn't been on it. Like he's been good, but he hasn't been on it.
We're
And I
gonna
really
get
think
there.
he's waiting for this series. I think he's waiting for this series right here. This is the moment, the time where Juan Soto's really going to go ahead and show up and he's going to take over a game.
And I'll tell you something too. Juan Soto's a much better postseason performer than Aaron Judge. No one can debate that because he's won a World Series. He was a lot better last year. So what you're saying, you might want Soto up in a big at bat in the playoffs over Aaron Judge potentially, based off what we've seen in October. I will say that much. But I
Of
think as
course.
a pure player, Aaron Judge is the best on the planet right now, hitting wise. As long
Right.
as we're not into October, he needs to shake that dust off this year. Because if he has another bad October after this, then like I don't even know what to say anymore. Because like that's kind of just like who he is if he has another bad October, especially after have this might be his best regular season ever, potentially based on what's going on right now.
To that point, right? And I would answer it like this. When you look at some of the game's best power hitters, overall hitters, right? You think Barry Bonds. Everybody thinks Barry Bonds, right?
Right.
A-Rod the other day said that the best player he's ever seen was Barry Bonds. And they
Agreed.
asked him about the way Aaron Judge is performing right now. And he said, no, Barry Bonds is the best player I've ever seen lace up some cleats and put on a baseball uniform. He never won anything,
That's
right?
that's a good
He
point.
and
That is a good point.
the times that he did, get into October,
Wasn't
he
that
couldn't
good?
help the team get over the hump,
That's
right?
true.
I mean, famously got struck out by John Franco and the New York Mets to kind of end that series for the San Francisco Giants back in
Yeah.
2000.
Yep.
So,
Good point.
you know, Barry Bonds, yes, they got to the World Series in 2001. It's 2002, right?
I remember that one. They lost to the Angels.
And
Yeah.
they lost to the Angels. And look, you can't put all the blame on him. He was at that time the best player ever, and he just couldn't get the team over the hump. And
Yeah.
you could even extend that to other leagues like the NBA. You look at guys like Patrick Ewing. You look at guys
Yep.
like Charles Barkley, some of the best players in all of basketball, but they never won the big one. So for Aaron Judge, you're right. It is very important and imperative that he has a fantastic, phenomenal October, because if he doesn't, that's troubling. That's troubling for a player like him to not be able to perform when the lights are at his brightest.
Yeah, because he was bad last postseason. There's no way to mince words. He was horrifically bad in the playoffs last year. No sugarcoating it. And his biggest home run was actually taken away because they lost the game anyway. That makes it even worse because he had one big bomb, but they still blew it. So no one even remembers that one. So it really
Right.
all gets like washed away from him. Everyone remembers the stupid pop up, but I'm not going to really go down that rabbit hole. So the Mets are 28-16. They are one of the best teams in the league right now still. And the Detroit Tigers are actually the best team in the American League right now. It's 29-15. And then they're tied with the Dodgers, basically. Dodgers have one less loss. Yankees stands at 25-18. I will say, honestly speaking, that they benefit from a weaker division because the AL East is not as strong as the NL East. The Phillies are
Right.
kind of creeping up. Atlanta's starting to look more like themselves a little bit. So, like, do you feel that both teams are going to end up winning the division when it's all said and done?
I think they can, but ultimately at the end, I don't think it matters.
That's a good point. Yeah,
If you
that's a
take a
good
look,
point.
if you take a
Yeah.
look at the postseason picture over the last couple of years, right, the Dodgers are the exception. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel like the Padres let them off the hook last year,
They
right?
did because they got shut out in back-to-back games and they're up 2-1. Yep, I'll never forget.
Exactly. They had them
They
against
had
the
a
ropes,
chance. They did.
and the Dodgers had no business winning that series, and they did,
You're
and that's
right.
all credit to them. You don't want to discredit what they did because they had to really tough it out to win that series and then ultimately win that championship. Because I'm gonna tell you, the Mets, another team, wild card team, they almost went to the World Series,
Right.
right? I wanted them to face the Dodgers because I felt like the Dodgers throwing bullpen games out there wasn't gonna hold up, and ultimately it did, right? And
I felt the same way from the Yankees standpoint too. I mean, I think the Yankees actually did win their bullpen game. I think that's the only game they ended up winning was when the
yep.
Dodgers did throw the bullpen. I think, yeah, because it was down 3-0. Right? Yes, that's what happened. Yeah,
So ultimately, I don't think it matters if they win the division. I
you're
think they
right.
both can. And,
Yeah,
but I can't really predict that right now this
yeah, it's
early in the
early. It's
year
a good
because it's
point.
still May. You don't win divisions in May. But I will say this, to all the fans that are listening, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if they win
Yeah,
it.
you're
As
right.
long as they get in and they're hot, I think both teams have enough you know, the Yankees could get a little bit better pitching wise, starting pitching wise, and so can the Mets, but they do have two dogs coming in with Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas, so we haven't even seen them yet. So I think they have enough. They just have to get hot at the right time.
I feel like the Mets are better equipped than the Yankees right now for a postseason run because of what you said. I think the Mets could always use a little training around the edges, maybe a little bit of a better bench pad or something because you have Winker going down. You don't know what he's going to look like this year. Beatty, I think, has been pretty good, so maybe he'll start to get more run. He's kind of earns it a little bit. So, like, yeah, I still feel like the Mets could use that top tier starting pitcher, maybe if you really want to push him over the top. Like, they still don't have like that bona fide ace, in my opinion. Senga is probably it right now if he stays healthy. But Yankees need pitching badly, no question about it. They need an infield help even worse. They're playing like backup infielders right now. They have two infield openings. Jazz is out for a while. They ignored third base. Oswaldo had that gruesome injury, which I'll talk about more later. But um, yeah, that was tough. Let's get to Soto though. So like, give me your evaluation of what you've seen so far. Is there a slight disappointment? Are you waiting for a little bit more? Like, did you expect a better start? Like, where are you at with him?
Well, with Juan Soto, I, I can't say I'm disappointed because an 845 OPS should be tops. That's top at the top of the league, right? That's elite, right? He's one of the best at getting on base. He's one of the best when it comes to just doing his job, right? He can draw the walk, he can get on base. He has 20 RBIs, 8 home runs, 3 stolen bases, which I didn't see really happening. He's picked his spots, but I really didn't think he was going to be in the stolen base category, but
He'll
he's done
sneak
it.
a few here and there. I think he had like 4 last year with the Yankees around this time. When I was trying to do some comps of like the 38 games that someone put out, I was like trying to dive deeper into that. But he'll sneak a couple, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you look at the batting average, he's at 255,
That's
which
low for
it's
him.
low. That's really the area where you look at Juan Soto and you're not expecting to see 255 in the beginning of May. I would have expected that to be somewhere around where Pete Alonso's batting average is, right? In the high in the low to high 300s.
Yeah, you would almost
But
flip that.
right, exactly. But when you look at it right now, a lot of people think that it's easy, right? To just go from team to team. It doesn't matter. You're getting paid. Just put the uniform on and just go out there and perform. I don't think it's that easy. Even if it is going from, getting a Metro card, taking the train from Queens to the Bronx or the Bronx to Queens, everyone needs time to adjust, right? You look at his career his career average, 289, right? That's where we would like to see Juan Soto and, the career OPS at 948, and it'll get there. And like I said earlier, I think right now, the Yankees series is what he's been waiting for. And I don't mean that as in, oh, I'm just going to play regular until we play the Yankees. No. Juan Soto is the type of player who shows up big time, right? We're talking World Series, right? You mentioned that the World Series, All-Star games, any big games, and if I wasn't really paying attention a lot to what the Yankees were doing in their big games, like against the Red Sox and division rivals. But I can point to one series against the Rays where he was going back and forth with teammate now Jose Siri, when they were hitting home runs and they were kind of just staring it down. But that was a series where the Yankees had to claw back and fight back to win those series. And Juan Soto was in the thick of that, so Juan Soto, when it comes down to it and it comes down to, all right, we need to win a series, he did it against the Phillies, right? When he needed it, the Mets needed him to come through, and he did that. So I'll say this, Juan Soto is not disappointing. Yes, you would like to see the batting average higher and the OPS higher with some more power, but I think all of that is coming. I'd rather him struggle now than him struggle later. So, and I think he'll turn it around. It's coming. It's coming.
I agree with most of what you're saying, honestly. Like I've even mentioned the part about the big game factor. I think on my last episode I brought that up. He's gonna be there when it counts. Like the Met fans should be okay. He's gonna come, like even if it's not like what they expected early. I think if he was getting the small boos were ridiculous. I don't think it was anything crazy, but there were some small whispers like early on because all the money is being paid. Yeah, right. like you said, the average, the OPS, even the on base. When the on base is below 400 for him, you get a little bit of alarm because like he's set such a high standard. Like you just expect to see a 4-0 like on his on base, but it's getting back up. It's already up to 380, so he'll end up hitting that 4.8 for sure. That's the least of my concerns. And I do agree with you. Subway Series, let's have some fun here. Over or under 2.5 home runs for Watson in the Subway Series.
Over or under 2.5 home runs.
Yeah.
Will he get 3? He can get 3. Right. I think he recently had 3 home runs against a team.
He did.
Arizona. Against Arizona, he hit 3 home runs in that series.
He's starting to heat up, like you said. Yeah.
He could definitely do it. I think it definitely can come. He's been hitting well against lefties. So I would look at that Max Fried matchup. Max Fried, when he faced the Padres, I think he gave up a little bit more than usual in that outing. I don't know how that went for him, but Juan Soto's been feasting off lefties this year, so I think that's a series to watch. That last game, I mean, that's a game to watch right there. That matchup, Fried and Soto, and also Rodon. Rodon is a guy that he comes out the gate hot, fire, but once he can hit a wall. He can crash. It's like taking a Red Bull when you talk about Carlos Rodon,
so true,
right? Once that crash comes in, it falls. It's an avalanche when it comes to Rodon. So I think Juan Soto, again, is going to have a good series. He's going to, go gap to gap. He's played all year last year in Yankee Stadium, so he knows that stadium like the back of his hand, and he had tremendous success playing there. I definitely will take the over 2.5. If it's 2.5, I'll take the over for sure.
Yeah, I'm giving him 1 a game in that scenario. That's why I thought 2.5 was a good idea. Because maybe there's one multi-homer game, maybe there's one game without one. Or maybe I'm feeling like 2 to 3 to me. I feel like he's gonna get 2 minimum. I feel like 2.5 is the right number to put it at. But I could see 3 too. Like I'm not gonna be surprised if he does 1 a game. To me, I definitely see an issue with Rodon because Rodon's also been pitching pretty well too. So he's due for a bad start. So that's a problem. And if he hangs one of those sliders, that's not gonna be good. He can definitely Clark Schmidt can definitely give one up too when he pitches Saturday. I think Clark struggles against lefties, so I'm also concerned about that. I can see him trying to pitch very carefully around Soto, honestly. I wouldn't be shocked if he does that. Max Fried will go right for him because he's having a phenomenal year. He'll try to go head-to-head. There is some history there.
Yep, 333 batting average against Max Fried, so he has good numbers against him.
Yes, I definitely knew there was some history there because I remember looking into this in the past. But no
Hmm.
home runs though in 27 at bats. Does that change? I
Nope.
guess we'll find out.
I think so.
Yeah, it might. So, yeah, with Soto, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. The 20 RBI is kind of low for me. I was definitely expecting
Yeah.
RBIs, even if the 8 homers weren't there. So I'm going to tell you this: I don't think he's going to end up with the 40 and the 100 plus we saw last year,
No, no,
personally.
no.
But I do think he's gonna have like 30, I mean, like 90, maybe. Maybe he'll still have like a 9 to 950 OPS. I don't think he has an 1,000 OPS this year. I was saying I think it's gonna be a little bit less than we saw last year, but like it doesn't mean next year he won't be like close to what he was 2 years ago. It just might be a slight down year, maybe. But he could also go on the heater and erase all of that and get right back to where we everyone expects him to be too.
Yep. And then and look, looking at the schedule, right? This is a really tough stretch. I don't think they face a stretch like the one they're about to face
Mhm.
right now at all this season. But I'll take the Mets no matter what. But they got the Yankees, then they got the Red Sox, and then they got three against the Dodgers. That's tough. That's tough for anybody right now.
Yeah, that's hard.
So I think again, this is the reason why I'm really kind of circling. I've had this matchup circled for Juan Soto for a long time, and not just him, but the entire Mets team. And one of the X factors, one of the guys that I'm really looking at for this matchup, and we've seen him get hot as of late, is Brett Beatty, right?
Mm.
Brett Beatty and that swing in Yankee Stadium. Look out for that, and that's if he pulls because he's good going the other way. But Brett Beatty has been on it this year. And I think they're going to challenge him. He's going to get pitches to see. It just all depends on what he does with them. And then another guy that I think I'm going to look at as an X factor is Mark Vientos. Last year, Mark Vientos hit 4 home runs against the Yankees in all 4 games. So
That's
and
right.
he went 2 in 2, right? So he had one game in Citi Field where he hit 2 home runs against the Yankees, and then another game where he hit a home run. So I think it was 3 or 4. Either way, he hit them against Garrett Cole.
Yes,
So
I remember. Yep.
and there is no Garrett Cole, and that's another thing for the Mets that it's like okay because Garrett Cole, since he's been a Yankee, the Mets have just packed his lunch.
He's been awful. It's like
Yeah,
Mets and Red
they've
Sox.
yeah,
Yeah, like he doesn't know what to do with the Mets or the
mm-hmm,
Red Sox, apparently.
right. They've packed his lunch. So the fact
They
that he's
have,
not
yeah.
there, okay, right? They got Max Fried, but again, Pete Alonso has been on fire. He absolutely rakes in Yankee Stadium.
That's true.
Lindor also is another player who just packs the Yankees lunch every single
He,
time. So we got guys who have had tremendous amount of success against the New York Yankees and at Yankee Stadium with Alonso, Soto, and you're talking about Lindor, who's the best shortstop in baseball.
And I'll tell you this: Let's do one Subway Series memory too, and then I'll tell you my X factors. So I know we're gonna get going soon, but I have 2 Yankee X factors that are kind of similar to yours, I think. So I want to see how you view those guys.
Sure.
But one, this is not my favorite Subway Series memory, but it might be one of yours. The game that Francisco Lindor hit 3 home runs, I'll never forget. He hit 2 bombs off Clark Schmidt, and that was a crazy back and forth game.
Mm-hmm.
Giancarlo Stanton was hitting bombs too. Like it went down the wire. It was like blow for blow, like going back and forth. The Mets won that day at Citi Fields. And another one I had was that crazy pitchers duel between Tanaka and Jacob DeGrom when
Oh
Tanaka
yeah.
got hurt and then Brett Gardner had like a big hit that the Yankees ended up winning a low scoring game. That was a really close one too. There's been a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious what are some of your favorites?
So my favorite moments aren't recent. I could go to a bunch of recent ones. That Lindor one is a very, very good one. I could go with Pete Alonso hitting a home run against Aroldis Chapman
Yeah.
at Yankee
In the
Stadium
COVID season, oh
in the
God,
COVID
I'd like to
season. That
forget
was
all
weird.
that.
Right. And then he did it. Then he did it back at home when they, had that Tom Seaver, that was the game right after Tom Seaver passed away.
Yeah,
And then, but my favorite moments, I have 2,
let's hear them.
and they're both the same guy. He's going to get his number retired this year. One of my favorite Mets of all time, David Wright. He
Okay.
had two walk-offs against the Yankees. And they both came against Mariano Rivera, which is weird. But the first one was the one that went over Johnny Damon's head. And then the second one was the base hit. I don't know if he walked it off, but I know he definitely got a hit. And then the Mets ended up walking it off against Mariano Rivera. So both of those games where they walked off Mariano Rivera, those were memorable games for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And that reminds me of the time when Mariano had the All-Star appearance at Citi Field too. And then I think he walked against you guys one time or something. Remember when he got that at bat and he like walked or something? That was one of my favorite memories too.
Yeah.
Um, so that's some cool stuff, even though that was All-Star game. So my X factors are Jason Dominguez, because
Okay.
I feel like Dominguez is starting to get hot. Like he had that 3 homer game last week, and I think he needs to play more. Obviously, it's tough because like the Grisham situation makes it harder for him to play him. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
Ellinger is making a lot of money. He needs to play a lot better. He's not an X factor because we already know what he needs to do. Same thing with Paul Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt's been so good, I can't say he's an X factor anymore, but he's had a renaissance year this year. But my
Right.
other guy is another young guy. I'm gonna go with Anthony Volpe too. I feel like Volpe's starting
Mm.
to play better ball. I also he had a lot of memories of the Subway Series. He's talked about it a lot, like as he was a Yankees fan growing up, so it means something to him. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna have a good performance. He gets David Peterson from the left, and there's Canning and McGill, both righties, and I think he's definitely gonna have a decent series here. Dominguez is starting to swing a little bit from the right too. I'm assuming he'll probably sit against Peterson and play against the righties. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
So I could see him getting a homer or something. But your call for Mark Vientos makes all the sense in the world because he mashes left-handed pitching. He destroys it. We have two
Yep.
lefties pitching in the series. He destroyed the
Mm-hmm.
Yankees last year. We just saw him hit a bomb off Matt Boyd, which I kind of called that day. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to get one off Boyd. Actually, it may not have been him, but he still hit one that game. So whatever. But
No, it was. He did. He
oh, it
did. He
was
did.
off Boyd.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. He tied it. He tied it. That was the game where he tied the at 1-1.
Right. So Boyd was still in there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like all those calls and stuff. I think it's going to be a crazy series. Now we'll get going and we'll wind down. Do you feel these teams both have what it takes to reach the World Series and make the Subway Series really a spectacle like we saw in 2000?
I think they can. Again, it all comes down to what the Yankees do starting pitching wise, because that they're going to need that. They're going to need,
Yeah.
they have Max Fried, but they're going to need guys who one can go, because nowadays, if you don't have that depth and you got guys going 200 innings plus, that's tough. We saw it with the Mets. They get tired,
That's a
right?
good
Especially
point.
guys who haven't gotten to the 200 plus innings. That's very, very difficult if you don't have that depth. So I think the Yankees need to try to figure out what they could do. Maybe get a Luis Castillo, maybe try to get in the
Mm-hmm.
Sandy Alcantara mix.
Yep. Yep.
But for the Mets, I think it all comes down to what they could do as far as bullpen wise. And I know it sounds weird saying that, because I know their names have come up in rumors for Luis Robert. So
Yes.
I understand that, that's there. We'll see what that leads to. I don't know. It just all really depends on how things shake as far as center field is concerned, but I wouldn't rule it out.
I wouldn't,
Um,
as I think that's a decent move for the Mets to explore. Maybe it might help push them to the top a little bit more because I think Robert can elevate his game when he leaves the White Sox. To me, he's just like the
yep.
ultimate change of scenery. Get him out of there, like see if someone can fix him. Like let him play with good players actually, and you might actually start to see like what we used to think of him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's gonna happen. Sources are saying that there is some smoke there. Whether there's fire, I don't know, but they usually say where there's smoke, there's fire. So
Right.
we'll see what that looks like. But one guy that I'm looking at the Mets to really take a hard look at if they really want to go all in on just having the most dominant bullpen heading into the postseason, and that all depends on how the Cardinals do, because right now they're
Oh,
playing out of their mind.
right.
But Ryan Helsley is somebody that I think the Mets would absolutely benefit from, bringing him in and having him go back and forth with Edwin Diaz, at the back end of that bullpen.
Yeah. Did Katie say anything about that? Because I know you spoke to her. What does she think about
No,
that?
uh, and shout out to Katie Wu. Magnificent, magnificent interview there from Katie Wu. But she
Yes,
pretty much said what I'm saying now. It really all just depends on how the Cardinals hold up. Right now, they're doing a great, great job. The Brewers aren't the same, and the Cubs, right? So it really is them two back again,
I agree.
fighting it out to see which one will take that central. But it would have to take the Cardinals being in a position where they're really, really out of it in order for them to really look at that. But the only reason why I say that is because the Mets do have a lot of infield depth, and they have what teams who have an excessive amount of pitching, like pitching that they can give up. Team like the Mariners, a team like the Cardinals. I feel
Yeah.
like the Mets match up very, very well. One guy I'm also looking at is Sandy Alcantara. I think the Mets are in there with
I think they
that.
match up
That
better than
will
the
happen.
Yankees. The
Mm-hmm.
Yankees farm is not in a good spot, and I'll definitely talk about that more next week. I'm having a good guest next week that's going to talk about prospects with me, so I'm looking forward to that. But the Yankees are very top heavy in the farm. I don't even think they have the assets to get Alcantara. They might have the assets for Luis Castillo.
Yeah.
That might be more doable.
And they can
Or
eat money. That's just like,
yeah,
who's going to eat more money. And then
right.
again, we're talking about the Mariners who have a lot of good pitching and they got young guys also coming up. So that's
Yeah,
not even really a blow for them. That's just something that they
yeah,
can offload
exactly.
cash.
Yeah, the Mariners need bats still too. I'm not buying their offensive start. I think they still need help offensively. I think the Yankees
Mm-hmm.
definitely have spare bats they can give the Mariners somewhere.
Yep.
So I think there is some type of match there potentially, but we got a long way to go. Deadline's months away. I wish it was
Yep.
sooner because
Yeah.
they need help and I want to see some transactions. But infield too. I can't ignore third base. Like it's such a black hole with this team. Like they don't have
Yeah.
it. They just don't have a third baseman. Like I'm not counting on LeMahieu. Pablo Reyes shouldn't even be on an MLB roster, and he's getting at bats in big situations sometimes, which is tough to watch. I want to see if they can get something out of Oswald Peraza. It's kind of his last life. Can he kind of provide some offense? Hopefully, they're still trying to see if it's in there. It might be. Vivas is another kid they're trying. So like, there's a lot of moving parts with that. So here we go. Last call, Subway Series prediction. Is there a sweep? Do the Mets win the series? How do you see each game going? Let's just have some fun. So Friday's Rodon versus I believe it's
McGill.
Miguel. Yeah. So what do you see happening Friday?
So I think the Friday matchup is going to be a very interesting one. Again, I think is who's going to get tired first as far as the starting pitchers are concerned. McGill, I think can outlast Rodon, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
all going to
possible.
come down to who's getting the outs, the big outs. But I think the Mets are can easily take that match. Not easily because Rodon has pitched good against the Mets, but I think the Mets can definitely take that because of the simple fact that they're hitting lefties very, very well.
Yeah, that is a good point. I think the Yankees have a big advantage in the bullpen, even though
Mm-hmm.
Devin Williams is starting to figure it out too, quietly starting to figure it out. So this is a big moment for him too. Devin's gonna have to get some big outs this weekend, and if he blows it, the fans are gonna be on him. So
Oh yeah,
Devin Williams better figure it out this week.
and
If
that's
he
another
better
matchup.
keep pitching, yeah.
Yep, that's
And the
another
Pete
matchup that
Alonso
people aren't looking at. Yep,
situation. Oh
yep.
man, yeah, it's another layer to this. Oh boy, if Alonso steps up against him again, people are gonna be holding their breath. That's for sure. After what
Oh,
happened
they
last
people
year.
are they have that video on cue ready to just replay that. That is
Oh
probably going to
man.
be one of the most seen clips from
Oh
every
man.
single broadcast
Oh,
this
it's gonna
weekend.
be nonstop. You're right. It's gonna
Yeah.
be really tough. If he hits another one, that they're gonna put them next to each other. Oh God, like that's gonna be a
Oh,
complete
if it
disaster
gets
if he
deep,
hits another one.
if the game gets deep and Pete Alonso is lined up to get some at bats against Devin Williams, watch out.
Yeah, that's gonna be a potential issue. But if maybe Devin wins the battle this time too. We gotta
Maybe,
see. You
maybe.
never know. They're both really good, so that's gonna be a big thing. We'll see. So you give them game one. So game two, it's probably like a big toss up to me. It's Schmidt versus Griffin Cannon. I can definitely go either way. I feel
Yeah.
like Cannon's pitched better this year. But the Yankees have a lot of lefties that can give him problems, but the Mets also have a lot of lefties too. So if you're looking for offense, this might be the day to look for. I could see the runs being higher this game, maybe.
That's possible, but I could also see Griffin Canning, because Griffin Canning, remember,
he's been good.
He faced the Cubs, and the Cubs, their output on offense has been absolutely tremendous. The top of the National League in batting average, top of the National League in runs scored. They're one of the better teams in the National League when it comes to putting runs on the board. And the Mets and Griffin Canning handled that very, very well. So
that's a good point.
If I'm the Mets and I'm developing a game plan on how they need to approach the Yankees, they need to accept fate when it comes to Aaron Judge. Whatever happens with him, accept fate and take care of everything else.
Interesting. Yeah, because if he hits solo home runs, it doesn't hurt you as badly. That's a good theory. And if the guys are on base when he's up, then you have problems.
Exactly.
So he's been tremendous.
I can see the Yankees. I can see the Yankees not easily. I can see the Yankees winning game 2. But it's all going to come down to how they hit Griffin Canning and if they're going to get him to throw a lot more pitches than he usually does. Because when he throws a lot of pitches early, that seems to be what gets him off balance.
Right.
But he's been good. He's been great.
He's been outstanding, especially for $4.5 million. Another Stearns masterclass, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know what else to say about that. So for me, the game the Yankees absolutely must win. It's Sunday with Max Fried pitching. Max Fried is the Yankees ace now, so whenever he pitches, you got to win when he's on the mound. Peterson's been solid, but Fried's definitely been better. Fried's 9-5 with a 2.48 and 113 Ks in his career against the Mets, so he has a pretty good track record. And they do have a lot of lefties too, so that's a day I'm definitely looking for the Yankees to win. Is there a scenario that the 2 out of 3? Yes, I can see the Mets taking 2 potentially. It's really, to me, the big toss-up game is Friday. Because, I kind of might lean more towards Mets Saturday because I feel like Canning's in a better spot than Clark right now, even though Clark's doing okay. Friday is McGill, Radones, you never know what you're going to get from Carlos. So, if he's lights out, then the Yankees win. If he has a bad day, and they probably don't. Sunday, I'm definitely looking for a Yankees win. I don't see a sweep. I'd be surprised if either team swept. That's how I'm looking at it.
Right now, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, last year, right, Mets swept all 4 games.
They did.
So we're gonna have to see. Right now, they are on a hot streak against the Yankees, and that's even going back to COVID. Right? They've been playing the Yankees very, very well over the last 5 years or so. And
you're right. It used to be way different, but now the Mets have turned the tables.
Mm-hmm. They have.
Even when going back to that time, to that Clark Schmidt day, I believe the Mets took 2 out of 3 that time too when Lindor hit the 3 bombs. I remember the Yankees rebounded, but then they lost another game. So, yeah, you're right. It's been Mets lately. We're running down on time here. So, Rashid, thank you so much. Tell everyone they can find you at again before you go.
Of course. So you guys can find me on YouTube at MetsLife. You could also find me on Twitter at MetsLife and also Rashid McDonald. And then you can also find us on TikTok at MetsLife as well. We usually go live. Sometimes when I'm covering the games, I go live, take some questions. So you guys can find us there as well.
Okay. This podcast is broken up into 2 parts, basically. The first part was with Rashid McDonald, who was also a Mets reporter. So we talked about the Subway Series. We attacked both angles from the Yankees and Mets perspective. So now I'm going to have some closing thoughts here, and then we're going to go from there. You have 2 amazing teams right now. Could it be a real Subway Series? I feel like last year, the Yankees made the World Series, the Mets didn't, but they took the Dodgers to more games. And last year, there was definitely a very real possibility of it happening. The Mets were 2 wins short of that ultimately. But if it did, then it would have been crazy. But now, if you fast forward a year after what Soto did, it would be even crazier if it was to happen now. So honestly speaking, do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, because the Dodgers still exist. But if it wasn't for them, I might say there's a decent chance of it happening. But the Yankees still have to get through their side, too. They still have things to clean up. Like I talked about earlier, the Tigers are very good. That's definitely a big thorn in the Yankees' side, potentially. But that's a long way to go before there's a concern with them. The Red Sox are still only like 3.5 out, I think, or so. So like, um, I think the Yankees, like I said, everything considered, like with the injuries, I think they've gotten off to a great start. Like, there's still so many more things to dive into, and there's a couple things that are aggravating me too. Um, so I'm not too happy with like certain conceptions here about the Soto Grisham. Like I mentioned the Grisham stuff earlier. I don't want to see comparisons. Then like Ben Rice, like comparing Soto to Ben Rice, like that's just nonsensical too. Like what are we doing? Go, he has 22. Oh, our 22 is better. First of all, no, he's not at all. And then like he's having a good season. Do not get me wrong. Again, like when I do this stuff, it's not to disrespect certain players, but they need to be slowed down and pumped brakes on certain stuff a little bit. That's all I'm asking for. I think it's reasonable. So, in essence, like what I'm saying is that it really, to me, like it's just not a good thing to do. And then you have people having the audacity to ignore Dominguez's third home run because they said it was soft or like they don't count the third one. And then people talking about Vivas' hit not counting because of a hanging breaking ball and all this nonsense about Judge and the car accident and everything else that's just not about baseball and just really stupid. It's just like, why are we wasting time on that? I really wish people would pay more attention to the stuff that's actually important in the game because there's a lot of great stories and just about all this like cookie cutter stuff looking for clicks. Like that's not what I've ever done. It's not what I will do. So to each their own, but it's just certain things that are really bothering me. Dismissing JC's walk-off too was also, and saying his name wrong, that's also disrespectful as well. While we're at it. So anyway, he gets the props he deserves on this show. So that's all I control what I can control. That's it. Okay. Unfortunately, there was a really tough situation with Oswaldo Cabrera. You know, I had such a crazy reaction to this, just thinking about that same night with Jason Tatum, even though it was Knicks, Celtics, different sports. And then the same day to see Oswaldo go down was definitely a really tough scene. It was really tough, honestly. It's just like, just call that cut and dry, call it what it is. Like, it was really a gruesome injury. It was really unfortunate that it happened, obviously. It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I know like people are gonna like overstate that, but like you can't understate that. That's the thing. Like Oswaldo, he's just like the type of dude. He's like that guy who works a 9 to 5. He puts in overtime. He does whatever he has to do. He's gonna show up with a million different hats. He's gonna do everything well that he's asked to do. It's just like a shame to see because he was given a golden opportunity this year to play third base, and he played close to 40 games. I want to say he did pretty well. His defense was pretty good. His offense, you know, it was coming around a little bit. He did have a hit before he went down, unfortunately, and you know, one homer this year. And this isn't really about stats, but just like putting a little perspective. So 34 games, close to 40 anyway. But that's really not what the point is here. The point is that like this is the guy that puts his heart and soul on the line for the team. This is the guy that's willing to talk to any kid, any fan, any person, anywhere. He doesn't care about wasting time. He doesn't see it as a waste of time. He'll stay after the game. He'll sign for people before the game. He does all these events. And shout out to Frank, my friend, for like all the stuff he's done, he's helped me do, and all the events and all the interviews and everything he's set up, and all the charities and donations, and everyone keep donating to it. He has a lot of information out there about it. Also, shout out to the Mariners Nation for being very classy about the situation too, from the team admins to the fan base to the donations. It's just really cool to see the impact that Oswaldo's had, not even just on the Yankees or baseball or Venezuelan culture. It goes deeper than that. It's like he's very well respected around the game, and the only bit of good news is that I guess it's not a broken ankle. I think there may or may not be surgery. It's up in the air from what I last heard from Alferi Alvarez, who was on this news first about like that what might happen. But in my opinion, the way I'm looking at it is that he's out for the year. and I told someone else this too. I'm like, in my opinion, he's out for the year. Anything other than that is a pleasant surprise to me. Best case scenario, if he avoids surgery, is probably out like 3 months. Fast forward 3 months, that would put you into August. Then you have to see, is he ready? How long does the rehab take? I think it was like either 6 to 8 if it's a fracture, but that doesn't count for rehab, obviously, or like maybe 8 to 12. But either way, the chances of him playing again are not good, in my opinion. I don't, if he comes back at all, you're looking at September or October, maybe. So it would be a good lift. It would be a good boost. But at the same time, and this has nothing to do with him, actually, the Yankees straight up fail to address the position. And now it's really going to snakebite them even more than we thought it already would have, because now you're really down to your wits' ends with these infielders. Pablo Reyes should not even be on the team. Still on the team. He could have possibly been DFA'd. Now he will not be. DJ LeMahieu getting a second gas, maybe a last life. Actually, to his credit, he looks better the other day in the box. I don't know if that's going to mean anything, if it's going to translate, but he looks better. There was a single like 100 miles an hour, I think. I think he had a ground out similar speed. No, I'm not joking about the ground out. If he hits the hard, he hits the hard. But maybe there's something there. Maybe he can he stay healthy long enough? That I don't know about. Can his body even maintain this anymore? I don't know. I'm really not too sure. So that's going to be a big question mark to me. Can he do it? Sure. Will he? I have no idea. But can he at least be like a 700 OPS bat? That's how low the bar is for him right now, in my opinion. So that can he manage to do that? It's possible. If he can, then I guess it's good enough because his defense is still pretty good. Now, because of the Jazz Chisholm situation, he's also going to end up playing second. So like that's how I'm looking at it. But again, it's a long way to go to figure all this stuff out. And we're going to have to see how it all goes. And Jorge Vivas, he's another Venezuelan infielder that is going to get an opportunity here. Oswaldo Cabrera, is he going to finally figure it out? I think there's signs his bat might be coming to life. I posted about his expected stats the other day before all this stuff happened. So I definitely think there's a path for that. But he has to prove it because he hasn't proven anything yet with his bat at the big league level. And he's running out of time. So it's really now or never for Peraza. And this is actually going to be a good opportunity for him because now he'll have more runway because it's really a 3-man rotation. Vivas, LeMahieu, and Peraza for 2 spots. And you would think that Reyes is more of an afterthought, though you never know. So, yeah, that's something that's interesting for sure. I was actually looking into some Mets prospects too to switch sides and go across town. We already did our previews of like the pitching matchups and everything. I really think that Griffin Canning has impressed and James McGill both pitch over their heads. Maybe there's some regression there. I think David Peterson is just about what you would expect. Nolan McLean has looked pretty good for the Mets in AAA now. I know he's pitching tonight. Drew Gilbert's starting to walk more and he's striking out, so that's definitely good for him. You look at what's going on with the Mets prospects, and I think they're in a good spot. Speaking of that, I do have some exciting news to share. I will be having a prospect guy come on next week. Gonna talk Yankees prospects and gonna talk Mets prospects. So we're gonna go through that. He works for MLB. That's all I'll say. I'm not gonna tip the hand yet, but we're gonna have a nice guest for prospects next week. Both farm systems, maybe a few other things as well. And then I have another guest coming on too. Someone that is a big Mets reporter is going to join me as well. So we're going to split those podcasts up. Next week's going to be a big week. We're going to recap the Subway Series, and we're going to look ahead to the farm. So here's the guy I like, Jared Young. This guy's hitting for some pop. I was just watching some videos, and yeah, he's 29. But this guy has 6 bombs, 18 RBI, and let me tell you, none of them are cheap. None of them are cheap. He was a 15th round pick by the Cubs in 2017. It's definitely been a long journey for him. He's a first baseman, so that's not going to work with Pete Alonso, obviously. But He's been in the minors. He's been grinding for years. Does he get a look? Does he get traded? Could they DH him maybe? And then the Mets have a lot of bats up there, so I don't know. But I think it's a guy that's very intriguing. His OPS is 1056. That's 1,056, only 68 at bats, but this guy has some pop on the left side. In the top of building of the backings of the minor league stadiums. And I was impressed with what I saw. So we'll see if he gets a look. Yankees farm system, quick little reporting. George Lombard had a good hit today. He's now settling in with Somerset a little bit. Cam Schwitler struck out 7, but gave up 4 runs as well. He's an arm the Yankees have their eyes on as well. I don't think he's going to make it this year. Some people think he should. I don't think so. Anthony DeScalfini signs to a minor league deal. I mean, he can't be worse than Carlos Carrasco, so I guess. But again, as I've mentioned on this show before, a guy I'm pushing for still is Sean Boyle. I want to see Boyle get his opportunity. He's been in the Yankees system for a while as well. He's a guy that's going to pitch his ass off. He's not going to blow up a radar gun. He's going to locate pitches well. He's going to get that movement. He has that backdoor sweeper now that's really a problem against left-handed hitters that he's working on. His changeup's been a good factor for him. His color, he has so many different pitches he can go to. I think he's a guy that can get it down to the big league level. He's battle-tested. He's been through a Tommy John now. He's building himself back up. It looks like better than ever almost in certain senses. And I know some of the stuff is ticking up. There's new pitches. So for me, Sean Boyle's the guy that the Yankees need to consider in their plans if Yarbo can't figure it out because he's in the 5 spot right now, which is very fluid. Here's the thing. I like how the Yankees reset their rotation for the Subway Series. Instead of giving them the extra off day, no, go for the best. Give your 3 best arms the spot here because this is not a normal 3 Subway Series with the Mets. And last year, the Yankees took it very lightly, and it was very arrogant to say. Like, you had J.D. Martinez hitting cleanup. You have Jahmai Jones leading off in 2 of the games. Like, really just not really a slap in the face to the Mets, and they took advantage, and they swept the Yankees last year. So the Yankees can't afford that to happen again this year. This is a really good litmus test for them because the American League's pretty weak. The National League's definitely stronger. There's no question about that. So let's see how they stack up. Like I said earlier, I don't expect a sweep on either side. Saturday, I think, will be the highest scoring game. Sunday definitely reads the pitcher duel with Peterson and Fried because the Yankees can't hit a lefty to save their life, and Peterson's pretty good. So that might be a problem. But Max Fried has a lot of success against the Mets, so that might be good for the Yankees. So maybe they'll squeak out a little scoring game there. Saturday's my X Factor high scoring game, kind of, because I feel like Clark Schmidt's good, but like the Mets have a lot of lefties and cause issues from, like I said. And then Griffin Canley's kind of been pitching over his head to me. I know he's pretty good. I know the stuff's been there, but like he's definitely a guy that could be had, I think. It hasn't really happened yet this year. But he's due for a bad outing, in my opinion. And at Yankee Stadium with the short porch, I don't see there could be a time that the Yankees get him for a few runs. So he has a 2.36. Like he's never been this good before. So can he hold it up? Have the Mets found something? I mean, it's definitely possible. But at the same time, you are who you are in a certain sense. And we'll find out on Saturday about him. And Tyler McGill, to me, is a little bit of a different story. I mean, yeah. Canning's worst outing this year gave up 4 runs. Like he hasn't even had a bad outing yet. Like that's not even bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's not awful. He's never pitched more than 6 innings. He goes 5 innings a lot. He does it, but he's 5-1. I know wins don't mean that much anymore, but they're 7-1 when he pitches, so that means something to me. And I think the Yankees are like 9-1 when Max Fried pitches. So that's something to look at as well. Max Fried has been absolutely incredible. Like there is no way to go around Max Fried being incredible. And he's 6-0 record wise, and they are. I had it before. I'll get it back. Yeah, I just want to confirm that 9-1 because I know they just lost one recently. I think it was that weird game in Seattle, the 2-1. Yeah, and the Mets definitely did not have a good series against the Pirates, and they're going to be looking to rebound. So I think this is coming for a perfect time for both teams. Another thing about Max Fried that I don't really talk about that much is defense is elite, and he's 8-1. He has 3 Gold Gloves, but his worst outing of the year was giving up 2 runs in 6 2/3 innings. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Opening day was his worst, 2 runs in 4 2/3, but the defense is not helping, and he has 6 runs total. But Other than that, he's given up one run or less 7 times this year. He's given up 2 runs or less in all 9 of his starts. He has been sensational. Absolutely sensational. So let's go deeper into the hood with Megill, and then I'm going to wrap this up. So Megill and then Rodon. Rodon deserves some props because he gets a lot of slack from this fan base, and he's really delivered of late. Even though his last start was a little uneven, he settled in and got 10 strikeouts after his rough first. So we'll see. But going back to Fried, and Megill, rather, he's 8 starts. He's 3-3. He's a 3.10 righty. Like I said, 40 innings, 52 K. So he's pitching pretty well too. And for me, it's tough to evaluate him because he's a younger player. So I don't know if this is what he is or like if he found something, because it's possible. He's only 29. Canning has a little bit more of a sample size opposed to Megill. So that's why I'm a little more skeptical about him. But we did see him do Manai, Quintana, and Severino. So it's definitely possible. I'm not going to rule it out. But I'm definitely going to go under the hood more with Carlos Rodon as well. Let's go under the hood with Rodon. So he's, like I said, he had 10 Ks last time out. Gave up 4 runs in the first. I mean, Oakland A's are a good hitting team. He was second in Ks with Mackenzie Gore at one point. Now he has 67. He may have passed him. I don't know. But 54 innings, 9 Ks, 9 starts. It's 4-3. Has a 3.29. So overall, it's like really good, despite a few boneheaded home runs that kind of hurt a few starts. And then other than that, it's been pretty good for the most part. So let's see if he can build. And this is a big litmus test for him as well, because the Subway Series, it's a big deal. He had 4 starts with no runs allowed. Then he gave up 2. Opening day, he only gave up 1. But yeah, there was a bad patch, and then he got it together. And then last week was a little bit rough, even though he struck out 10. When he gives up a bomb, it's obviously a problem. Because if you look at this score sheet here, or his game logs, this is actually kind of interesting. Every game he hasn't given up a bomb has been a shutout. So the 3 games he hasn't given up a homer, he hasn't given up 1 run at all. So if he could keep the ball in the ballpark, which is easier said than done, especially against some of these Mets hitters, then I think the Yankees will be in a good position to win this game. So we'll see if he can do it, though, because Soto's tough on lefties. That's not going to phase him. Lindor's a switch hitter, obviously. Alonso's tough on lefties. Vientos is a lefty killer. So that's some problems right there. It might be easier to get Beatty out left on left. Same thing with Brandon Nimmo. Francisco Alvarez is probably a little better against lefties, I would think. Starling Marte could probably factor in here too as the DH maybe. So he's kind of on the back 9, but we'll see if he has anything to provide this series. So like that's like my litmus test. And then my final closing thing is going to be like, don't tell fans what to do at once. So they can do whatever they want. Don't say we have Grisham or any of that. Just like, it is what it is. He left. He's going to deal with the wrap to that tomorrow and throughout the weekend. And whatever they want to do, as long as it's safe. I'm not saying throw stuff at him. I'm not advising that at all. As long as it's safe. If there's some profanity, there's some profanity. That's what's going to happen. I mean, there's no way to clean that up. They could yell as loud as they want. Yeah, just I'm against racism and violence. Other than that, have at it, honestly. Yeah, I don't boo players, obviously, because I can't, and I wouldn't. But yeah, I'm a reporter, so that's not my thing to do. All right. Thanks, everyone. This has been a very interesting edition. I'm going to chop this up and kind of re-edit a little bit, see how I can make this thing look. So thanks, everyone, for bearing with me. Today was a little bit difficult. Before I do get going, though, I want to do some shout-outs for sure. First of all, subscribe to the channel, Arskina, and then everyone can check me out on Julian Gallardi 1 on Twitter, Julian Gallardi 11 on Instagram, Arskina everywhere. I'm also on TikTok as well.